My name's Calvin Waite, and I trade Bitcoin and cryptocurrency for a living. Hey everybody, I just wanted to apologize real quick for not getting a video out earlier this week. I've been pretty busy, but there have been some developments in the alt market that I wanted to mention to you. So I've mentioned it before, I do a lot of bot trading and I've created my own bots, and currently I have about 102 different coins that have bots running on them, and they kind of have a buy and sell sort of scenario. And it's interesting that oftentimes the alt market likes to move together. So as funny as it might be, you think that each coin has its own history, its own independent thought, but it's not what you think. I think a lot of larger investors like to buy all at once, and they like to buy everything and then they sell everything. And so often there are trends that match across most of the alts. But honestly, it's hard to see, it's very rare to see more than 20, well, let's say more than 80% of the market agree. So even though 80% of the alt markets may be long, there's always 20% that's down or is turning down or something's changing. And same on the other side. If about 80% are down, there's still 20%, those rare coins that are on a good run and nothing's going to stop them. Well, for the first time since doing my trading, today the market is only 8% long, which is very unusual. Very, very strange for the entire alt market to be turning down like this. So I kind of wanted to talk to you about sort of what happens in a market like this. And so one thing to look at is the shorts versus long. And I'll show you this here. So this site, viewbase.com, is one that I like to refer to. There are a couple of things I'm going to show you from this site, but one of the things you can look at is the Huobi and Binance futures, so swaps and futures, but it allows you to see the percentage of the total long position versus the total position held by top traders. So it kind of gives you an idea of, if we're above 50%, that means the majority of people are long. If we're below 50%, the majority of people are short. And you'll see that Bitcoin, things are fairly, we're hovering around the 50%. We're a little bit high. So, I mean, the sentiment is a little bit long. But look at all of these others, all of these altcoins. They have these less than, EOS at 37%. So Binance is a little more half and half, but I mean, seeing numbers as low as this is pretty unusual. And in a market, we have to always go back to our philosophy that markets are not there to make you money. Markets are there to completely wreck you. And so the majority of people are there. The majority of people that are trading will eventually just get killed because of the emotionality. And when the majority of people are short, this is where I'm looking for buying opportunities. So looking at buying opportunities in a market like this is always a little nerve-wracking. But when's the best time to buy? Do you want to buy when everyone is scared and selling and increasing their short positions? Or do you want to be buying when everything is so overbought and everyone's so excited and everyone's putting in more and more and more, just getting ready to get killed? You really want to be doing the opposite. Warren Buffett says you want to be greedy when others are fearful, and be fearful when others are greedy. Everybody is fearful, and this is where opportunities come. I like to see a little confirmation before I make an entrance into a market, but I am absolutely sitting on the sidelines with some capital ready to hop in once the sentiment changes. So that kind of brings us to a coin that I wanted to talk about. Someone in a comment last week asked me to take a look at Lumen or Stellar. So XLM is a coin that I like, and I wanted to show you something interesting. So we're back on viewbase.com, and we're looking at the inflation chart. And you can see here, Bitcoin has an annual inflation of 1.47. This is based on the newly minted coins within the last 24 hours. So this is sort of an average. The average should be 1.8 or something like that, but I guess more blocks have been found in the last 24-hour period. But you can also see that there's also a reason why some other coins may be struggling. Based on their inflation rates, if it's higher than the dollar, it makes it, if you can't keep up with even the dollar's inflation, there is a little bit of more pressure on the sell side. So some of these have had a little struggle because of extra, too much inflation. So, but Stellar is not on this list here, but it is down here. There are projects that have a specific schedule laid out. We did a video on XRP, and this number is nowhere near close. But Stellar this is the amount of inflation annualized. 1% inflation is better than Bitcoin is and will be for the next 3.5 years. So this is definitely a plus for Stellar. If all other things are held equal, Stellar should increase against the dollar at the very least. And right now, there is a slight amount of pressure that it should increase against even Bitcoin. So looking at Stellar on a weekly chart, this is what we see. Now what's interesting is that this bottom line is the best fit line for the current trade activity. So this line we'd have never put on this chart. Number one, here's our low, here's our next one. So yeah, we might have put it here, but this did not obey our rule of, okay, this is going to be either support or resistance. If we break through, it becomes resistance. It certainly wasn't resistance. In fact, it continued to be support, and this became such an anomaly that we would not have normally drawn a line like this. Coming all the way up and coming down, this gives us another point of reference, but even this, we'd have probably drawn a line from the bottom of this here, and we'd have hit in this area here. It wasn't for about 2 years later that our most recent activity has shown this very strong trend. And when you kind of work backwards, you go, oh, there's a point here and here and here. So even though this trend looks like it's, you know, a solid 4-year historical trend, it wouldn't have materialized until 2020. But now that it's here, it does give us something to work from. And obviously, not every trend is going to be obeyed by all investors. Trends only work, even points of resistance and support only work when the majority of investors believe that it will work. And it's not even the majority, it's the majority of money that is being traded. It could be a handful of investors that make these decisions. But as you can see, there has been a lot of consolidation, a lot. This is a year of consolidation. Here, we finally broke above these, and you'd think, oh, sweet, here's our moonshot. Well, when we ran out of gas, we did touch that same point, but now we've been dropping back down. So the question is what do you do when things don't fully obey the rules, right? Okay, so we're going back to daily. And this is a very good lesson, because this is how investors get confused and wrecked. So, quick example. Hey, we've got a point of resistance here. Okay, we broke through the resistance. Awesome. It now becomes support. This obeys our rules wonderfully. Here's our resistance. We struggled to get above it, and then we broke through. It should be support. Well, we struggled, and then we fell through it. If you fall through a support, it becomes resistance. Okay, everything's obeying the rules so nicely, but it doesn't always, because where is this line? If I put this line right here, our resistance is usually right along the bodies, and once we've got it on a couple of bodies in the future, it starts getting wicks and things depending on the sentiment. So this is our perfect line. We found support exactly where we should. Now what's this? We fell through it. Oh, it should be, now that we've fallen through our support, now it's got to be resistance, right? Well, for an entire month, we did nothing about, there was no support, there was no resistance. We just whipsawed and chopped right through that line. So if you sell at every point where we break through that line, and you buy every time you're above that line, pretty soon during these whipsaw periods, you can lose a lot of capital and a lot of fees, and you can get really emotional. It's nice when everything makes perfect sense, like it did back in this period of time, but there are periods when it doesn't do this. So this is where trading becomes, this is where the advanced traders do well. And the secret is to make small, sensible trades. If you go all in on shorting this, and then all in on buying it when we break through, you're going to end up buying up here, you're going to start selling down here, and you're going to start getting killed. But what you want to do is you want to take small positions. You say, okay, this is a sensible place to sell. I'm going to sell a little bit. And then this is a sensible place to buy. I'm going to buy a little bit. And when trades don't work out, so it's time to exit. So we exit a little bit. Turns out we were wrong. Well, we don't just jump in at the top here. We wait patiently because these markets go up and down, and we wait for another sensible entrance. If we make a mistake and we buy, so right here, we would have bought right here thinking, hey, we've got support, we've had resistance, it's going to flip to support, we buy. Well, guess what? We would have lost money if we had bought, and if you panic sell down when we break below this support, you're going to get upside down pretty quick. But if you make a smaller trade, you're not going to be so emotionally invested, and you can be patient. What we do here is we make a break-even limit order, and we wait. Because if a point has become a pivot point for resistance and support, most likely we will retouch that position at some point. We could have exited here, and we definitely would have exited here. It just takes patience, and it takes capital to be able to wait for 2 months for a position to close. On the other side of that, when you do get it right, you think, oh, I didn't put enough in. Well, that's where newbies get, that's a temptation that you do not want to fall into. You don't want to think, oh, if only I had put more in. No, we follow the rules. People think trading is this glamorous, I'm gonna ride around in my Lambo, but it is not. Trading is a humble man's game. If you're too greedy and you don't respect the probabilities of gains and losses and keep your head, you're going to get killed. People that have People that are too greedy and get too excited, they're going to get massacred in the markets. If you have kind of a tendency to be an impulse buyer, you're going to get killed in the markets. You need specific rules, you need a ton of discipline, and you need humility. Otherwise, you're at the mercy of the emotionality of the market, and you will absolutely get wrecked. So, would I buy XLM at this time? Absolutely. I'm not afraid to take any position because I take small, sensible positions. Is this a sensible place to buy? Absolutely. There's a huge history. There's a ton of reason to buy. If I'm wrong, I can be patient. But man, oh man, these buying at the bottoms, or when there's a decent decline, there's always an upside in the future. And so as long as you're patient and you make sensible buys consistently, that's how you make a living trading cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. I hope that makes sense and I hope it helps you guys. We'll talk to you later. Hey, thanks for hanging on till the end of the video. If you liked anything I said, please support the channel by subscribing. If not, feel free to leave a comment and I'd be happy to take a look and make improvements to the channel so it'll be better next time.